Hi everyone, welcome to Christian Soldier 99. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Jimmy Rice, and I'm really excited for him to tell you his story. And it's really exciting, and I'll just let him talk about it. Hey everyone, thanks for coming back. Jimmy, thank you so much for speaking to us. And I'm just going to start off by letting you introduce yourself. So go ahead.
My name is Jimmy Rice, and I guess I'm 44 years old. Surprised I made it that far. Married to my wife Julia, and we have 2 kids, Heaven and Paige, and work on cars for a living. And I don't know what else you want me to say.
Nope, that's perfect because we're going to get right into it. So Jimmy and I knew each other as kids, and if there's anything about Jimmy and I that anyone around here knows is we really did some things that aren't exactly. I wonder if we should pause.
Aren't good.
Yeah, aren't good.
we were heathens.
Yeah.
Not very good. Well, I wasn't a very good person a lot of times. Yeah.
But we did some crazy, crazy stuff. And that's not really what we're all here to talk about. We're here to talk about more about how God changed Jimmy's life. And it was just, wow. And when I found out, I actually went to the Lord before Jimmy had. And but Jimmy was still my friend. And I love that about him. No matter what, he still had my back, and I just was really thankful about that because there was some people that just cut me off whenever I told them that I was a Christian or I became a Christian, and they just want nothing to do with me. And Jimmy was just always, hey man, I got your back, you know, nothing's really changed there, and that just really spoke a lot to me. And I was just really thankful for that. And then the moment I found out that the Lord had grabbed a hold of him and where he had sent him was just absolutely insane. It just blew my mind. And Jimmy, so let's go back and let's talk about a little bit, you know, the life that you lived wasn't the best. I mean, I don't even know what to say. We did some crazy, crazy stuff, pretty much illegal stuff and everything. But go back and I want you to tell them a little about your background in the Klan.
Wow. Well, guess it's probably around the age of 17. I had some friends that were involved with the KKK, and I moved to Chambersburg, Pennsylvania at the time, and there were a lot of incidences in there with me, and so were the younger black men in that town. And one day the Klan showed up in Chambersburg and was handing out papers, and I got one. And long story short, I ended up joining the Klan and spent 2 or 3 years with them. Moved up through to being head of security, and man, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. You know, I had all that attention that I was looking for because it took me a long time to realize a lot of things. You know, looking back on my life and why things happened and how things happened, and you know, I realized that they were showing me a lot of attention. And that's something that I didn't have growing up because my father had left when I was 5 years old. So I didn't have a dad growing up, you know. And yeah, a couple of my uncles, you know, stepped in and tried to help some, but they weren't there every day, you know.
Yeah.
And my mother raised me, and I don't know, I always was longing for that father figure in my life, you know. And when I would get attention, usually by acting out, you know, being stupid. You know, when I was in school, I got in a lot of trouble in school. I mean, I was constantly in trouble in school because that's how I got attention.
Yeah.
That's how I got people to look at me, you know. And I don't know, I got fed off of that, you know. So when I joined the Klan, it was the same way. It was all attention, and the crazier I was, the more attention I got, you know. And I did some really crazy things. Nothing that I'm proud of today. Back then, I thought it was just the coolest thing.
It was just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And we did, man. We thought Jimmy was the coolest guy. And it's funny for him saying this now. There's about attention because we Man, we didn't think that. We just thought that was you, man.
Yeah.
We thought, well, that's Jimmy. I mean, we would drink and get drunk and just do crazy stuff, and Jimmy would even fold up bottle caps and swallow them and eat them, and that was Jimmy, you know. And here, the whole time, he was just, you know, wanting attention, and that's
Feeding off the attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead, man.
Yeah, but it's just like I said, a few years that I spent with him, and I'm not even really sure how and why I got out of that. I mean, I know I got in some trouble again, DUI, and went to jail for a little bit, and things just kind of fell apart with that, you know.
Yeah.
I just left, you know. I got away from that. I think I was trying to do a little better, trying to do some right things, and it didn't last very long, you know, because there wasn't as much attention in being good.
No, there isn't. Right.
But I didn't go back to that. But we did, man, some of the crazy stuff. I mean, it's only by the grace of God that I'm still alive.
Right.
There is no other reason. I should be dead 1,000 times over. I mean, seriously, it's just, I look back on some of the things, and I mean, even some of the things you and I did.
Yeah, right.
There's only one reason we're here.
Yeah, you're right.
God has a story and a plan much bigger than we did. So.
Yeah. And you know what? We didn't care about God. Sure didn't want nothing to do with God. Nope. I mean, I was cursing God every chance I had, and I was getting drunk and just, you know, we were smoking dope and just doing crazy stuff, and never once even had a care about God. But yet he had a story in place even back then. And that always boggles my mind when I first was like, yeah, God, I need you in my life, and I'm not playing games anymore with you. I actually need you. And he didn't hesitate. He came over to me and picked me up. And the thought now when I look back that, you know, he even cared about us then, it boggles my mind, because I definitely didn't care a lick for God.
We didn't care, and we sure didn't deserve the provisions we had, you know, and the safety.
Yeah.
Looking back now, and I can think, man, that was God.
Yeah.
That's, you know, when that car did that, and I should have been wrecked and killed.
Yeah.
God protected me through that, and I didn't see that back then. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in God, so why would I think that God did that?
Yeah.
But so many things that I look back on and say, wow, that was God. Mm-hmm. There's no explanation besides that was God.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people talk about coincidence. When you realize how much God is in total and complete control of everything, you know how many millions and millions of people there are on the earth.
Right, right.
But he still takes time to think about each one of us individually.
Yeah.
And to take care of us and protect us and guide us. Now, granted, he'll let us go through enough of our own stuff too, but, you know, we have free will, you know. But he knew that I was going to be where I am today, just like he knew about you being where you are today.
And he was patient. You know, God never pressed me. He never gave me an ultimatum, ever. Not one time did he say, do this or else I will never love you again. No. And in a lot of our relationships, that's kind of how it is. You know, you do this for me and I'll like you, or you know, I'm only liking you for what I get from you. Mm-hmm. And God is all about, I'll give and give and give, and I'm hoping that one day you'll look back to me and thank me. You know? Yeah. And that's just awesome about God. And how he's changed my life, how he's changed your life. And that's just, it's a story. And it's a story. And what happened, you went to prison, right?
The last time?
Yeah.
I've been in and out 6 times.
Okay. So
6 times total.
So tell me your salvation story.
Well, actually, my salvation story came, I think, after trip number 5 to prison. And things were just going through a divorce. And of course, the way I handled that was drinking and drugging.
Right.
That's how I always handled my problems, you know. Yep. I didn't handle them.
No.
I just
You covered them up.
I drowned them.
Yep.
In alcohol and drugs, and everything else that goes with
Right.
that. You know. And lo and behold, you know, of course, when you do that, you wind up back in trouble. And I caught another DUI. Thankful to be alive. You know, that one, I wrecked my truck pretty bad. Mm-hmm. I can show you some pictures of that wreck sometime. Again, that's one of the things where there's no reason I should have made it through that wreck. When you see those pictures of that truck, you'll just be like, how did you survive that? Mm-hmm. Well, that was God. Plain and simple. I know that. Everybody else that knows me knows that.
Yeah.
But ended up losing the house that I was living in, and actually went to live with my grandmother, Hilda. God bless her soul. She went home, be with the Lord now, but she was very loving, and she told me all the time that she prayed for me, you know, and she would always try to get me to go to church and, you know, do the right things, and I just didn't want no parts of it. Well, through that DUI, I ended up on house arrest. So I had to stay in that house with my grandmother pretty much all the time. And,
whoa. Do you see the setup?
Yeah.
Do you see the setup here?
Yep.
God set him up.
So she would talk to me about going to church with her, you know, and like, man, I got no interest in going to church, you know. I don't like the people, you know, all that crap that goes on in church, you know.
Yeah.
All that singing and dancing. This wasn't for me, you know?
Absolutely.
I mean,
I was the same way, man.
I didn't even care about church.
Nope.
And then she said something to me that I'll never forget. And she said, you know, Jimmy, it'd probably look really good to your parole officer if you'd go to church.
Ooh.
And I thought,
hey.
you know, Graham, that's right.
Yeah.
It probably would look good.
Yeah.
You know? I might actually get some brownie points and stuff, you know? And if nothing, she said, if nothing else, at least you get out of this house for a little while. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
You got 2 good points there, Graham. And
well, God was using her.
Huh. All right, well, I'll go. So I, of course, had to have it approved and all through the parole agent. And he approved it. And then that next Sunday I went to church, and I just sat there and was like, man, I cannot believe I'm here. But at least I'm not in that house, you know. And hopefully my parole agent will think this is pretty cool, you know.
Pretty good, yeah.
Maybe, you know, he'll think I'm turning a new leaf, and the whole time I'm just playing, you know. And
putting on a show. Hey, that's funny. Lots of times, there's a lot of people just put on shows, don't they?
Yep. But I sat there on Sundays and even on Wednesdays because, hey, getting out of the house, you know, looking good.
Right, go as much as you can.
And it was amazing. The more I sat there and the longer I sat there, the more stories I heard, the more people I heard talk. And it was, I don't know, it was just like God was talking to me. And I started to really listen and pay attention. And before long, it started, like the pastor was telling my story.
Oh, wow.
You know, and he was like talking to me. And,
so God was...
and I swear the pastor was staring at my eyes when he was saying some of this stuff. And I'm like,
what's this guy know? What's this guy doing?
And I thought, how does he know?
Yeah.
Like, how is he telling my story? How is he... I don't get it.
Yeah, because he's not talking to you, and he's,
I mean, but it felt like he was talking right to me. He was staring right in my eyes. And I think
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that was God speaking in him.
Through him to me. And
that's awesome.
And
That's scary, too.
It was. I mean, you think about that, because I had
It's like, what else does he know about me? Because I'll tell you what.
I had no intentions of doing anything in that church.
Yep.
Nothing. And then, you know, one night I was sitting there, and it was so convicting. And I was so just into his message. And like I said, it was like he was talking right to me.
Yeah.
And then he said, you know, I feel that there's somebody here tonight that wants to give their life to Jesus. And if you're that somebody, would you please come forward, you know, and we will pray with you and so forth. And it was like he was looking at me when he was talking. Again, you know, it was like...
Whether he was or wasn't, it was like it was just cutting at your soul.
It felt like it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was like, man, it's time. It's time for new life, man. You know, I just had to go.
Yeah.
I can't explain it.
Right.
I had to go. And I stood up and everybody's like, what?
Jimmy?
Jimmy Rice? I mean, the place didn't burn down when he came in it, but now he's going forward.
Right,
it's like,
exactly.
Nobody could believe it, you know?
Yeah.
And I could just see the eyes on me when I was walking.
which he's going to tell you a little bit more. I couldn't believe it. Listen to me. I couldn't believe it. Go ahead, man.
But I went up there, and I got down on my knees, and I was praying, and the pastor laid his hands on me, and he was praying. And my grandmother laid her hands on me, and it was like I kept feeling another hand,
Wow.
another hand.
That's awesome.
I felt like everybody in the church had a hand on me. Like it was an awesome experience.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the release that I had.
And that was that hug you needed, man.
It was, man. It was a hug from God through that church.
Yeah.
And it was Mount Calvary Tabernacle in Williamson. Pastor Ruben Egoff.
Oh my word, I know him.
Yeah? Oh, super good guy. But
I know him. Yeah,
it was
really awesome. Was Matt Gordon there too then?
not at the time.
Not at the time.
But,
Okay.
he come along later.
Okay.
But whenever he got done with praying and the whole thing, I mean, I was just tears.
Crying.
I couldn't stop crying.
Isn't that horrible?
I mean, yeah.
It's
For a big tough guy like me that doesn't ever do that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't stop. It was just
I know.
peace and love
It's
and
crazy.
joy. It just flooded into me, and I couldn't describe it.
Yep.
And it ticked me off because
Right.
I'm not supposed to be doing this in
know.
front of people. But at the same time, I couldn't stop. And eventually, I'm wiping tears out of my eyes and stuff, and I'm starting to look around, and it's like almost the entire church had come forward and had put hands on me in that church.
Oh man, that's
Unbelievable that many people cared.
right.
Especially the ones that knew me.
Yeah.
That they came forward, and even the ones that didn't. And it was truly a once in a lifetime experience.
That's awesome.
To feel that I just felt so much love coming from God at that point in my life. It was like, you are forgiven, just
Yeah.
now knock it off. And don't go back to doing the stupid crap again, And,
Knock it off, right.
And it was at that moment that I surrendered and I asked Jesus into my life, and everything changed. I started to want to go to church then.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to go to church on Wednesday nights,
Because God changes our heart.
I was reading the Bible.
Yeah.
I actually had a Bible, but I never used it. It had like 2 inches of dust on it.
Right.
But I mean, I clean off and I'm reading it. And then I'm learning. And I'm asking questions.
Yeah.
Because I just had to know.
Yeah.
Had to know why that happened and how that happened and why somebody would want to forgive me. I think back to all the things I've said and done and how I shouldn't be here and how evil I was.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still evil. There's nothing good inside of me except the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I still have bad days.
Yep.
I still have bad moments.
Desires and wants and things like that.
I still think a lot of bad thoughts.
Yeah. And
But
that,
I don't
you know
do
what?
I did.
That's the hard thing, Jimmy. Especially, I'm not Jimmy, but Jimmy and I, that's hard. Because there's times I just say the Lord's name in vain all the time. I used to just do crazy stuff. And sometimes it's like that stuff comes back in my head. I'm like, God, that's not me, man.
It's Satan.
It's not me, but it's a constant battle. I've been a Christian now for, oh my word, like almost 20 years. I can't believe that. And to this day, I still see myself as that little punk teenager cursing and breaking stuff and getting drunk and acting stupid and running through cornfields with our vehicles and just destroying people's stuff. And I'm like, come on, man. And it's just crazy, but yeah, man, it's a battle, and and sometimes God saved me so completely. There's sometimes when I speak those things, it's like it wasn't even me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I speak those stories and I speak them as though it's a third person because God saved me so completely that I'm like, I'm not that person anymore.
Yep.
And Satan's like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But yeah, you're right. Satan's always like, yeah, you are. You're still that person. And God's like, no, you're not.
He come to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah.
And he'll do anything possible. I often think about why, now that I'm a Christian, why Satan fights me so much harder now. And think think about it. Satan doesn't really have to fight or bother the unsaved. He's already got them.
Yep. He owns them.
He don't have me no more.
No.
And that
And
takes
he's
him
angry.
off. That takes him off.
Yeah, you're a pretty good guy for him.
Yeah. I did a lot of
You did a lot of stuff for him.
But he don't like it that he doesn't have me anymore.
Right.
And he can't do nothing to me because I'm not his. God has covered
Amen
me
about that.
by the
Isn't
blood
that
of
something?
Jesus, you know?
He has to get permission.
But now what he wants to do, he wants to ruin my testimony.
Hey.
He wants to keep me from leading anybody else to Jesus.
Yeah.
Because as Christians, it's our call to lead others to Christ.
Right.
You know, and we do that through our everyday walk.
Yeah.
Through leading people there, through any way possible. Sharing our testimony is one of the most huge ways to do that.
And that's what you're doing right now, and I'm so glad you're doing this.
How many people that knew me back in the day, when they hear that Jimmy Rice goes to church, and Jimmy Rice was a lead managing usher at King Street for a while.
Yeah.
I taught Sunday school for a while.
Oh, nice.
And the things that I've done, and it's only by God. Nothing I've done. It's just God living through me.
Yep.
I don't take no credit for nothing good that I've done. Nothing good I've done has been through me. It's been through the Holy Spirit through me.
Absolutely.
You know? And when they hear that stuff, they're like, I want that.
Yeah.
If God can do that for him, I got to find out what that's about.
Yes.
And I appreciate when they come to me because then I can explain things to them.
Yeah.
I don't know it all. I don't know half of what I should know.
But you know
I'm
your
still
story.
learning every day.
Yeah.
But I share with them what I do know.
Yes.
You know? And I know the love of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that if he can love me, he can love anybody. If he can change my heart, he can change anybody's heart. I told you before, I think about Saul and Paul, the conversion there.
Yeah.
Saul killed who knows how many Christians.
And
tortured and just persecuted church. And then he became Paul. And God uses him. And it's like, if God can use him, he can use me. I think about King David.
Yep.
With him and Bathsheba and killed her husband Uriah the Hittite, just the other things. And I mean, just like, if God can use David, he can use me. And so on and so on.
Yep.
You read in scriptures how God uses the people that you just don't really expect him to use.
That no one else would.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else would use us for good.
Yeah, that anybody in their right mind would say, you're crazy for trying to use that person. And you know what's crazy about God using Saul, who then became Paul, is he chose him.
Yeah.
He knocked him to the ground and blinded him. He's like, I can use you. God uses the ones that nobody else can use or even wants to use.
I think a lot of that also is the dramatic difference people see.
Oh, man, you're right.
People see that and say, well, Saul was killing people.
You're right.
How can he be loving people now? And they think, well, there's only one way.
Yeah.
People look at you and I and say,
yep.
Man, I remember them back, 20, 30 years ago.
Yep.
The things that they did was horrendous. And how could they even be Christians now?
Yeah.
How could God allow them to be Christians?
Yeah, exactly. Allow them.
How could he be using them to try to lead others to Jesus? I don't get it. And then they really start to think.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start to see things. And a lot of people claim to be Christians. A lot of people claim to have changed their ways. But a lot of that comes and goes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, we can backslide as Christians.
Yeah, absolutely.
I backslid.
Yep.
But at the same time, when you live that every day, and you continuously live that life, it's been 2001, 19 years since I was saved.
Oh, then how long has it been? Maybe I miscounted.
It was 2000, I'm pretty sure 2001 for me. And it's been a good while.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. I'm getting old.
You're old.
Yeah, whatever. But anyways.
You're old, Jimmy. I'm never getting old.
To look back on it and think, wow, it's been that long.
Yeah.
And like I said about backsliding, once I got saved, I had a girlfriend, trying to do the right things.
Right.
I was reading, I was going to church. Everything was good, man. It was really good. You know, and then I made a decision that was not so good. I was offered a position at work. But that position came with working 7 days a week. And working piles of hours. I mean, my average day was a 12-hour day. But I could work anywhere, 14, 16, 18. My longest day was a 23-and-a-half-hour day. And I was constantly at work. And I thought, them paychecks were coming in.
They were good. Yeah.
I had everything I wanted.
Yeah.
Man. My wife had everything she wanted. My kid was just a baby, And I thought that's really what they wanted was the money. And they could just... I worked and worked and worked and worked. That's all I did was work.
Yeah.
The big part of that is that I was never home.
Yeah.
And I was not in church anymore.
Right.
Because I had to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lo and behold, things fell apart. I should have been in church on Sundays. And if possibly on Wednesdays or any other time that I could have been at church or doing what I was doing. But instead, all I did was work. When I did get off of work, I'd come home, grab a couple hours sleep.
Yeah, and you're tired.
Get back up and go back to work.
Yeah, you're not
when I
spending
would
time
get
with your
off,
family.
they were already in bed.
Right.
So I saw them very little. And it was not healthy. And then, I swore I would never do that again.
Yeah.
If I can't make it off of, 5, 8-hour days,
then it's not worth it.
40 hours a week,
Yeah.
I don't need to work.
Nope.
Because my wife and kids are more important than that,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Just the way it is.
Yep.
And it's the way I've decided to live my life. And I don't want to ever go back to that kind of living. So, guess we got to take 5.
I hope you have enjoyed part 1 of the interview with Jimmy. Part 2 is just as exciting, and in part 2 he actually talks about some of the mission trips he went on. So don't miss out on that one, okay? Thanks a lot and God bless. Hi, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Also hit that notification button, ring the bell, that way you never miss a new video we upload. Have a great day. God bless.